If you can win in Singapore, you can win in probably every other Asian market as well.
中国政府有鼓励这些企业出海，寻求新的增长点和寻求新的市场。
Singaporeans, from the very start, we always have this perception of Chinese-made products are not as quality or as top-notch. But things have changed drastically.
本土的品牌和企业，它的退出率到底有多高？中国的品牌，它是不是能够存活在新加坡的市场？其实也是需要一段时间的。
走在新加坡的大街小巷，不难看到中国品牌的身影。中国茶饮品牌霸王茶姬2024年8月进入新加坡直营，还不到2年就开到37家门店，而且全部门店由品牌亲自管理，跟它在中国的加盟模式完全不同。为什么中国品牌把新加坡视为出海的关键一站？他们又为何扩张得如此迅速
？The Singapore market is a very sophisticated market. I think it's a very strong melting pot of all the cultures from across Asia. It's very diverse. The demands from the customers here are also a lot higher, right? They've seen a lot. They are very well traveled. If you can win in Singapore, you can win in probably every other Asian market as well. It also serves as a lighthouse for the other markets, right? It becomes an example for the other markets to be able to come in and say that we can perform as a business, we can perform as a brand a certain way, using Singapore as that example.
Is that too much resources invested for such a small market?
No, absolutely not. The amount of resources that we're putting in reflects our commitment towards the Singapore market.
进入到新加坡的这种餐饮行业来讲的话呢，中国企业的扩张速度是最快的。我觉得更多的是企业家的思维方式的不一样。如果在中国的市场，如果你想要生存下去，你的扩张速度和门店的数量一定是最重要的。你必须要让消费者随时能看到你的品牌。你没有办法通过一个店去来检验你的这个商业模式是不是合适，因为你的规模不起来，你整个的成本就是相当高的。它也相应的将这个策略呢应用到了其他的新的市场当中。
2025年，中国大陆在新加坡的固定资产投资占比激增到8倍，达到 20.6%， 仅次于欧洲。要知道，前一年这个数字只有 2.5%。固定资产投资就是企业在这里盖工厂、买设备、建数据中心等，这些都是相对长期的投入。这是一个历史性的转折，因为这是自2013年以来，中国投资占比首次达到双位数。中资出海新加坡不稀奇，但为什么会在这个时间点大幅增加
？2025年，因为这个特朗普向中国提高这么大的一个关税，包括中国内部这个经济增长放缓，包括内需放缓，包括中国里面的变动或者非常卷的这样的一个状态呢，中国企业呢真的是纷纷的流来海外。
其实中国政府有鼓励这些企业出海，寻求新的这个增长点和寻求新的这个市场。就是中国政府它其实看到了，如果你不出去，你只是在中国这个本地的市场上来进行这个运营的话，你只能是导致了一些可能恶性的竞争。第二点的话呢，就是增加中国品牌在全球的可见度，能够让其他的人去了解中国的品牌。对中国品牌的印象从一个代加工者和低质量的这样的一个形象扭转到中国的品牌它其实也可以有比较好的生产质量。
中国制造口碑的转变带动更多非中国传统强项的行业一起出海。美妆公司橘一集团创立于2016年，旗下拥有橘朵和酵色2个品牌。2025年，这2个年轻的中国品牌双双入驻乌节路商圈。
We are the first two sea beauty brands that establish a physical presence in Singapore. It definitely helped that we came in during the past 2 years. Singaporeans, from the very start, we always have this perception of Chinese-made products are not as quality or as top-notch. But things have changed drastically. We do see people start to accept the idea of CBD makeup because of innovation and because of very good reviews from the international users. I think it definitely came from other categories first, other industry, Haidilao, and then Cha Ji and Larkin and all that, right? So that really makes the whole consumer feels get more and more comfortable with the whole C trend. Singapore is a gateway to the greater Southeast Asia. Singapore attracts a lot of international tourists, expats and all that. It makes sense for us to have a brick and mortar here to really bring the brand awareness out to the international markets.
2025年呢，实际上是这么多年以来呀，增值企业会员数量增加最多的一年，达到了158家，会员的整数啊已经达到了1182家。新加坡实际上是一个典型的平台型的市场，中国对东南亚的投资，其实新加坡占到了50%以上。当这些投资投向了新加坡呢，实际上它也流向了周边的一些市场。我认为增值的投资在新加坡呢，它还是会不断的在加大，但是同时这些资金的流向一定会是在区域市场和全球市场。
中国企业进军新加坡，意味着选择更多，价格更亲民，也可能带来更多就业机会。但也有人认为，这会为本地中小企业带来巨大竞争。拿餐饮业来说，截至去年8月，新加坡共有85个中资餐饮品牌，开设了405家分店。不少民众担心，本地小商家和老字号的生存空间会受到挤压。
那租金来说的话，对于大型的连锁企业，它其实是有一定的议价权的，因为它的品牌有一定的效应，或者是有一定的规模。谈这个租金的过程当中，我会去想你这个品牌给我这个商场带来的这个人流量有多少，我会相应的给你一些这个折扣。中小企业它其实是没有议价权的，所以整个来讲的话，小的商家它是面临着成本比较高，市场需求又较小这样的一个困难的。现在很难去讲说是不是政府应该站出来进行一些补贴的措施，可能还需要再观察一段时间，看本土的品牌和企业它的退出率到底有多高，中国的品牌它是不是能够存活在新加坡的市场，其实也是需要一段时间的。
We do understand these concerns. I would say that it's not entirely true. No matter how deep the pocket that people might assume or presume, the business still has to make profit and still has to be healthy, be viable. So I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of brands and businesses to go back to the drawing board and rethink how to make it more innovative, how to make it more competitive.
The current Chinese wave that is coming into Singapore is no different from the waves that we've had in the past. And so we've had American waves that have come in, right? We've also had Japanese waves. And after that, we had the Korean wave. I think that the more important bit here is that the movement of these Chinese brands to Singapore helps elevate the entire ecosystem altogether as well. China has been very well known for in terms of offering very high quality service, and that's something that has really elevated the food scene.
竞争之外，这些中国品牌也在积极尝试扎根新加坡。菊一集团在新加坡98%的员工是本地人。霸王茶姬去年在国大开设了东南亚首家手语门店，为14名听障人士提供了就业机会。
我们要看待中国企业、中国文化走出去呢，将是一个接下来12-30年的一个新常态。以中资来看的话呢，接下来这个蛋糕是会变越来越大。至于国家的话，特别注意不要太过依赖某一个国家的这样的一个投资，同时呢，也要分散一些不同国家的一些投资这样的一个渠道。